Now, I built a big ship down in Ireland. She was made for the sale to the Turks. And they called on the yard's chief designer to design all the engines and works. Now, finally the engines was ready. They screwed in the very last part. Your man says, let's see how she runs, lads. But Jesus, the thing wouldn't start. So they pushed and they worked and they footered. And the engineer's faces got red. The designer, he stood looking stupid, scratching the back of his head. And while they were fiddling and working, up down their old Jimmy Doll's head. He had worked 20 years in the island, 10 in the aircraft as well. So he pushes and fiddles and footers. He gets himself through to the front. He has a good look round the engine. He gives a few mutters and grunts. Then he looks up at the gaffer. Says, see, Mr. Smith, do you know, they've left out the diagonal steam trap. How the hell do you think it could go? Now the engineer eyed the designer. The designer, he looks at the hut. And the whispers of one to the other, diagonal steam trap, what's that? But the gaffer, he wouldn't admit, to not knowing what this was about. So he says, right enough, we were stupid. The diagonal steam trap's left out. Meantime, old Jimmy had scarbered, way down to throw in his beard. The gaffer comes up and says, Jimmy, do you think it would have a wee word see a diagonal steam trap? I know it's left out, it's bad luck. But the engine shop's terrible busy, Do you think you could knock us one up? Old Jimmy was laughing his scorn off, He had made it all up for a gag. He seen what was stopping the engine. Feed pipe was blocked with a rag. But he sticks the old hands in the pockets and he says, right, I'll give you a hand. I'll knock you one up in the morning, the whole bloody thing'll be grand. So old Jim starts to work the next morning to make what he called a steam trap. An old box, a few bits of tubing, a steam gauge stuck up in the top. And he welds it all on till the engine. He says to the wondering mob, as long as that gauge is at 0, the steam trap is doing its job. Then he pulls the rig out of the feed pipe and he gives the old engine a try. But Jesus, she goes like the clobbers. Old Jimmy remarks, that's her now. Now, the ship was the fastest seen ever. So they sent her away to the Turks. But to tell them, that steam trap's a secret. We're the only ones knows how that works. But the Turks, they could not keep their mouths shut. Soon the whole story got round, and the Russians got quite interested. Them boys has their ears to the ground. So they sent a spy, dressed as a sailor, to take photos of Jimmy's steam trap. And they got them all back to the Kremlin. They stood round to look at the snobs. And the head spy says, Mr. Kosygin, I think it was a long time ago, The head spy says, Mr. Kosygin, I'm damned if I see how that works. So they sent him straight off to Siberia. And they bought the whole ship from the Turks. Now, when they found the steam trap was a codly, couldn't admit they'd been hard. So they built a big factory in Moscow. Start making steam traps like ma. Then Kosygin rings up Mr. Nixon. Like I told you, it was a long time ago. Kosygin rings up Mr. Nixon. So see, yous think yous are great. Like Kosygin had a Belfast accent. See, yous think yous are great. But we are big new Russian-made Steamtrap. Yous will find we have got yous all bait. Well, Nixon, he nearly went Harbeck. So he thought he'd give Harlan's a call. And he dialed the engine shop number. Of course he got sweet bugger all. But at last the call come through to Jimmy. In the midst of a terrible hush. There's a call for you here from the White House. Says, "Well, Jim, that's a shop in Port Rush. There's a factory outside of Seattle where they're turning out steam traps like hell. It employs 25,000 workers. On the head of it, Jimmy Doll said." Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.